go to any room. It's based on the
This is the full version. Unfortunately, we're going to reintroduce the tradition of an intermission. There are 3 disc changes during these. They take about 20 seconds. So when the screen goes dark, don't all leap up and rush out. With 20 seconds, it'll be back on screen, right? And when the film's finished, we will be going out on the tour. If you remain in your seats, we'll do a little chat. But on the tour, you'll be leaving through the side doors here, right? And Dave will take you around on the tour. That's before lunch, okay? So let me introduce on the Majesty Secret Service.
If you can't beat them, join them. If you were scared to fight it out, watch him and watch out. If you think your girl's a good looker, take a good look at this guy's dolls.
My name's Bond, David Bond.
The new Bond. The different 007.
Guys, did you enjoy it? Yes! Great. Well, now is the part of the day that you've all been waiting for. So, yes? Yeah. Only special to the event. Please welcome Mr. George Lazenby.
I think Graham's supposed to say something.
I was about to say that this definitely didn't happen to the other fellow, did it?
No, he wouldn't do it, would he?
He wouldn't, you're right. Right, we've got
Always did my own stunts, you see.
We've got a number of questions that you've all sent in. When I read the name out, if you want to put your hand up wherever you might be in the auditorium, because obviously, as for George, he knows who he's talking to. We've got a question here from Thomas White. Thomas wanted to know, did you feel you had a hard act to follow when you took over from Sean Connery, and how did you approach the role?
Yeah, I had a hard act to follow. I admired Sean myself, and that's what created the enthusiasm for me to approach the role. I wanted the job very badly, and I found that I thought that guy must be having a lot of fun playing James Bond, and if I've got a shot at it, I'm going to play my best shot. And it turned out it was the right thing to do. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Right. Gary Martin wants to know. Actually, he said he wants to know what was your fee for the film, and did you get a share of the profits?
What are you, a tax man or something? No, my fee, I think it was pretty public. I got 50 grand, US dollars. And in those days, it was pretty good money for the first film. And did I get a share of the profits? No. If I stayed on, I would have.
Right. Steve Illingworth wanted to know what sort of preparation did you do for the role of Bond, and do you enjoy being linked to the 007 role, or do you find it a burden?
All right. Preparation was only what they gave me. I mean, I prepared myself to get the role. I think the press has told you I bought a Rolex watch, and I got a suit made where Connery got his made. I got a haircut where Connery got his haircut. And I read on Her Majesty's Secret Service several times to get the feel of what I thought that they would want in the character. And I lied a lot. When I went in the first time, I told them I was a hell of a skier, which I wasn't. And I was a karate expert, which I wasn't. And what else did I tell them? Oh, I don't know. There was a whole bunch of stuff in the book that I said, well, I've got to be this, and I've got to be that, and that's who I'm going to be. But as it turned, what was the second? There was two parts to that question.
It was whether you found the role, you know, the follow-on effect of burden. Basically.
Yes, I did. After about halfway through the film, I found it rather tedious. And it's hard to explain to Bond fans what that means, because if you're around Bond stuff 24 hours a day, it probably wouldn't affect you. But I was off the street. I was a Bond fan, so to speak. I mean, I didn't miss a Bond movie. But I having it in my life day and night. I mean, I had people waking me up in the morning talking about James Bond, and when I go to bed at night, it'd be after I spoke to some press guy about James Bond, and it finally got to me about 6 months into the shoot, and I just said I'd like to get out of this for a while and not do another one of these if I could, please. And they thought I was kidding, but I wasn't. And I really didn't know where I was. I was totally confused about life. It's tough for me to admit that now, but at the time I didn't feel like I was, but I knew that I didn't know who I was. I mean, Bond was so powerful that it was taking over my life as a person. And people were saying to me, hey George, you don't mind if I call you James, do you? And they'd introduce me as James. Or when I'd come to a restaurant, the maitre d' would say, "Good evening, Mr. Bond." Shaken but not stirred. I was, give me a break, guys. You know. And I went and bought a sailboat and went sailing for a couple of years, just to try and find out what was going on in my life. And I can understand, I believe Sean used to visit a psychiatrist. I didn't believe him. You know, I believed that I had to find out who I was myself, or I'd never know. If someone else told me who I was, I'd have to believe them. You know what I mean? So I was confused, and it was a burden.
Right. Stephen Popper wants to know, were there any filmed segments of On Her Majesty's Secret Service cut from the final grip?
Yeah, there was. There was one that I pulled my shoulder out on, climbing over a wall at the College of Arms where there was someone listening. I had to run out, go over a wall, and I ripped a shoulder out here that I did pulled out messing around with judo earlier. And it was quite painful. And Peter Hunt said, "Now you Australians are tough, forget about it, let's go on." And I went on with a busted shoulder, but it finally fixed itself. That was the only sequence that I know of that was cut out.
Yeah, I think that is actually the only one. Well, Malcolm Hunt would like to know, would you have liked to have done another Bond later on if you'd have been asked?
Where's Martin? Yeah, Martin. In retrospect, it would have been very intelligent of me not to let Bond get to me and to have done 2 or 3 or 4, you know, and I would have liked to. It's just that I wasn't an actor. I'd thrown myself into a business I didn't even know what I was getting into. And at the time, it was very confusing. But in retrospect, it would have been very clever of me to do 2 and gone on with my life, because as it happens, Bond was bigger than I was, and I couldn't get away from it anyway doing 1. So it would have been a lot cleverer to do 2. Yeah, I would have done another one if I had the chance again.
Joe Story wants to know, which you partly answered here actually, did you interpret the role of Bond from Fleming's books, or was it influenced a great deal by Peter Hunt and also the previous films in the series?
I think I took it mainly from the book. That's what I read, and I remember feeling the most out of. I mean, the script was there. It was similar in some ways to the book, but I was never an actor before, and I didn't know much about scripts. I used to learn my lines in the morning and say them, but I always had the feeling of what this man was going through from the book. In fact, the last scene in the movie that you just saw, I can remember having the book, not the script, and reading the book just before I did the screen, the scene, because that gave me that feeling that I got from the book. And I'd refer to the book more than the script.
Stephen Hewitt wants to know, have you ever been back to Peace Gloria since you...
Yes, I was there 2 years ago, invited by Renee, what's his name? He owns the hotel there that I stayed in, for the opening of that hotel. I was there 2 years ago. I might go again. It's great skiing. They caught me skiing a couple of times when I wasn't supposed to be.
When you're filming?
Yeah. You wouldn't believe it. The first time I got on a pair of skis, I was mountain off. I looked up in the cable car, and there was Cubby Broccoli looking right down. Just my luck. So I got 1 run in that day.
Mike Hod wants to know, do you feel that the Bond film affected your career in films from then on in?
Yeah, it did. I had no career in films prior to the Bond film, but I had been asked to go into films previously by directors and producers just because of the way I had some success as a commercial actor, so to speak, with dialogue. And I had an opportunity prior to Bond to go into a movie, but I was very commercially minded, and they paid me quite a lot for TV commercials. And when they offered me the salary for this role in a movie, I turned them down. And I can remember walking down the stairs and the guy saying, what a big head that guy's got. And it was nothing to do with that. It was like, to me, it was quite simple. This is the money I get. If you want me, that's what you pay me. And I walked out. And then when Bond came along, there was no question about the money. I would have done it for nothing. I was so excited about getting that kind of prestige as a person, you know. I think every man likes to be important, you know. I was just a male model and told so by on many occasions. And I just thought, well, it'd be nice to step up in the world a little bit and go and be James Bond. But, and that's also what encouraged me to try hard to get the part. You know, I isolated myself when I was going for that role. No one knew I was going for it, none of my friends, and my energy was totally focused on getting that role. And that's, I think, had a lot to do with it too. Like the other guys probably went home and partied, and I just locked myself away for 4 months, concentrated on getting that role. And as a matter of fact, I knew about a week before. This is funny because I went about a week before it was announced to the world that I had it. I was told to get lost by the producers, so that the press couldn't get hold of me. That they had some special deals with magazines and whatnot. And I went to Paris to link up with some buddies of mine who I'd been kicking around with before I went and isolated myself. And it slipped out during conversation. I was just sitting there, we're all drinking vino and pretty drunk, and one guy said, what have you been doing lately, George? I said, I tried out for the part of James Bond. It kind of slipped over their heads, and then they said, oh yeah, and I said, I got it. And everyone sort of stopped, looked at me, and just kept carrying on with the conversation like it was so unbelievable that it didn't register. And I thought, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. And it didn't register. And then I said to him later, I said, and they said, why didn't you tell us? I said, I did. I told you that night. And you didn't hear me. But it was just like, George, James Bond, no, it couldn't happen. The guy's crazy. You know, so that's what, that's how people are. You know, you tell them the truth, they don't believe you.
Well, that's actually, this next question is quite apt in that case then. Andrew Collis wants to know, what do you say to the critics that panned and continue to pan your performance as Bond? Keep it clean, please.
Well, there's nothing you can say about that. I mean, they're the judge of it. And I think a lot of the times, you know, I can sit here and make excuses for myself as an actor. And you all saw the film and saw what happened and what I did. And you know, if you did it for the first time, you'd only do it as well yourselves. I mean, what can they say? That's how it is. I just put my heart into the thing as best I could. And a lot of the times it required maybe a deeper level of acting than I had available to me at the time. But it works. And it could have gone the other way. It could have not worked. So I say to the critics that, hey, that's 25 years later and it still stands up. So it can't be too bad.
Steve Hadlow wants to know, were there any funny incidents while making the film? Humorous.
Oh, yeah. Where's Steve Hadlow? Okay, Steve. Are you broad-minded in here? So I know in America I couldn't get away with this. But the first day on the shoot was in Pete's Gloria, where I was in a kilt, and there was this long speech with Sylvia Trench. And that was my first day. I'm reading up all these lines and stuff, and I'm shitting myself. Why can't they just do a stunt or something or stuff, you know? And admittedly, I'd been testing for 4 months, and the director, you know, wanted to do this scene because of the schedule. And it's not, once you get going on a film, they don't care about the actor whatsoever. Let's get this done and schedule for the budget, da-da-da. So we're all sitting around, and it's taken forever for them to light this Pete's Gloria for the first time. because they hadn't lit it before, and there's a lot of glass and what have you. And they're practicing going along the table with all the girls, showing all the girls, and ducking down underneath the shot where the girl writes lipstick on my leg, room number, you see? And so, you know, the next thing I see the props guy, Mr. Weymouth, going like this. What are you doing? And they got this German sausage about a foot long in hot water down there. And then they got all of it and they duct taped it to my leg. They're under the table doing this, you see? And the actress is there waiting to do her part. And we're waiting, and the whole crew knew about it. They're all just lined up like this. And so everybody's looking under the table waiting for the reaction. And the actress, I won't mention her name, goes and puts her hand under the table, and I could feel her hand on the back of my leg. And I thought, she's not reacting. What's happening here? Anyway, we did the scene, stopped. She looks at me and said, "You haven't got any pants on." You think I am a horse? But that was the kind of thing that was going on. The boys like to have a bit of fun.
Christopher Hannon wants to know what it was like working with Diana Rigg, and I can't tell you the number of people who wrote in to say, what are your feelings about garlic?
Where is he? Right there. Well, Diana Rigg. I don't know how to put this, because you have to be there. You know, here's this upstart guy who comes out of nowhere, who's now the star of a big movie. And she is a dramatic, very talented, highly respected actress. Now, I'm supposed to be her equal. In fact, I'm supposed to be the star of the movie. And she and I were together at a lot of occasions, press conferences prior to the movie, and we got to know each other. We did a test together for the film to see if chemistry worked. And we knew each other fairly well, kind of. You know, because Diana is English, and she kept, you know, a certain line that you couldn't step over. And I was Australian and wanted to step over it. So, and she kind of made an agreement that, you know, if I behave myself, maybe we'll get along down the road. But I know what she thought behaving yourself was, because it was only a few days later, and I was caught with my pants down, so to speak, with somebody else. And I said, how do you do it? And I said, Jesus, you know, what's wrong with you, Diana? You know, this is just having a bit of fun, you know, that sort of thing. Well, she didn't think that was cool. And that started it off. And you know, and a couple of times she kept me waiting, which wasn't bad, except it was below freezing, you know, out there on the ice rink and stuff like that. And I'd see her in there drinking champagne with the director and whatnot. And I'd get on a case and say, look at these crew guys out here, they're freezing to death. Actually, I was talking about myself. And get on her case, and then she'd say, oh, George is angry with me again, and all this sort of thing. That was literally all that ever happened up until the garlic incident. And I knew that Diana and I were not going to get together as friends, so to speak, off the set, because we came from two different places altogether. Diana, I think she was having lunch with Lois Maxwell and a few others, because Lois said, oh, I'm eating garlic. I hope, oh God, I've got to do that love scene with George and what have you. So she yelled across the commissary so everyone could hear it. Hey, George, I'm having garlic. I hope you are. You know, and that's how Diana Rigg eats garlic before love scene. And I didn't taste it. Fine for me. Eat as much as you like. I went right through the garlic.
Ian Brown would like to know, have you met any of the other Bond actors, and if so, were the Bond films discussed?
Ian, other Bond actors. Yeah, from time to time. I ran into Timothy Dalton the other day at some function in Marina del Rey. He was there. I spotted him, and oh, I'm not going to bother him. And then someone said I was there, and he came over with him, and he was a very happy guy to meet me. He said, "Oh, I've heard so much about you. I know what I'm talking about, what you're up to." And he's a sweet man. Sean Connery, I met him in a restaurant one day. We didn't have much to say. It was kind of public. I had a funny newspaper clipping where in some country they said that my movie had gone to the top of the James Bond fan club list. And I thought I'd take that over and show it to him. But he said goodbye on the way out, so he wasn't offended. Come on. There we go. Thank you.
Leighton Angel wants to know, why did you leave the role of James Bond?
Who's that?
Leighton Angel.
I think I already answered that, pretty much. I could add to it. There was a guy in my life, I won't mention his name, who was, I thought he knew what he was doing. He's a well-known sort of entrepreneur around town, and had done things. He was like good friends with the Beatles and all that type of thing. And I thought, gee, this guy must know what he's doing. And he told me it would be good if I could back out of the Bond picture because it's Sean Connery's gig, and this conservative type lifestyle is ending. Easy Riders type pictures of what's coming in, and it would be bad news to get branded as James Bond like Sean Connery. Look at the terrible life he's having. And it was just, and I got an earful of it and half believed it. In fact, it was him who announced to the press, which only one newspaper picked up, the Daily Sketch, that I wasn't going to do anymore. And the next day, and Saltzman was quoted in that paper as saying, well, it's the first we've heard of it. And then the next day, they got their publicity machine to turn it around that they were getting rid of me. So, and I was sitting there thinking, well, what's going to happen now? I had no idea. Because, I've never signed a contract, even for that picture. When they told me that I was going to do the film, they gave me a contract this thick, and I didn't have a lawyer. In fact, I didn't even have a bank account. So I gave it to a real estate lawyer, who a friend of mine knew. I said, anyone know a lawyer around here? And a solicitor? And he said, God, it'll take me months to go through this. I don't know anything about the film business. And this great advisor of mine said, don't let any lawyer in town who's in the film business look at it, because they'll be owned by Broccoli and Saltzman. And they'll tell them what to do, because they, have got business with all the lawyers. So I went into the real estate lawyer genre and gave the contract to them. So I finished the film without ever signing the contract. And they tried to hold me to it, but this lawyer had I don't know what you call it, a jury of lawyers, and they said I'd win the case because I'd never been in the film business before. If I'd previously been an actor, I would have lost, because I had to understand what was going on anyway before I went in it. So that's another reason how I didn't have to do the film. And if you want to really hear how stupid I was, United Artists said, well, don't sign with them, sign with us for the film, Arnold and David Pickard. And we will let you do any picture that we own in between each Bond picture. And this guy said, turn them down. You're big, you don't need these guys. And I believed it. And I thought he was my friend, and all these other people were just trying to take me for a ride, which was, they were, but it was going to be a good one. As it was, I went for a rough ride, I've
got a question here from Charles wild horse, and he wants to know what are your memories of working with the late Telly Savalas?
My memories of Telly. Hey, he was a guy who lived by the moment, every moment, to gamble and to take care of his buddies. He had a team of buddies with him. Telly had, and I didn't meet until the scene we did in His Gloria, where I was captured. That was the first thing we did, and you know, he had to, you know, do the scene with me in rehearsal, and they were wondering whether I was good enough to stand up to Telly in the scene, because he was a good actor. And Telly said, he's fine. Matter of fact, I'm coming sober to work with this guy. And then that night, we went out, and Telly wanted to gamble all the time. And that wasn't my, see, he was more of a James Bond gambler than I was. I mean, Telly had 6 or 7 Greek guys with him, from God knows where. I think one was his brother. But they used to trail around with him everywhere he went, and wanted to shave his head in the morning when he was waking up from his hangover, and he'd be playing Frank Sinatra music. And he was a character. He's just an out-and-out character, Telly. And I can only say I had fond memories of him. He was always happy and a lot of fun.
Right, last question. Alan McDonald would like to know what you're doing now career-wise.
Where are you, Alan? I'm looking for a job. You know? I'm always looking for a job. Career-wise, it's, you know, James Bond's a tough act to follow. It took me a couple of years to figure that out after the film. I thought, you know, I'll just go on and do another movie. But it doesn't work that way. I had to wait till James Bond issue dropped out of sight, and then I've worked my way through all the acting classes in Los Angeles, doing a lot of exercises as an actor, so I feel comfortable with anything that anyone throws at me. And career-wise, every actor, you know, is as good as his last job. And my last job, I think, was Gettysburg, where I was playing General Pettigrew, Southern General, and no one's going to hire me. I can't even remember how I did the accent now. But I faked it, you know, the same as most actors do. And I've been offered some roles, and I fortunate enough, I got some real estate rentals going, so I don't have to say yes to everything that comes along now. And I don't. And I hopefully will work my way up again. Because for about 20, 25 years, I just took whatever came in the door and just bounced off the walls, you know. And the reason I'm here now is because I feel confident again. I've got something back of who I am.
That's it, John.
That's it. That's the question.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the tour of the studios next. Those that have been on tour before, it is the same, so you don't have to go. You can go in the bar or go back to the memorabilia room, or just sit down and have a chat with the Gatsby Suite. We're going to go out the side door. What we're going to do is start from the car park where you came in. So those that want to go, they follow along out the side door. It can lead you back to the car park. It'll be about half an hour tour.
Well, if you are, I'm not sure I'm downwind.
Fraternity, we had Paul Weston, who has been stunt arranger on the two with his own film. We had Alf Joint, who had a sailing experience in the Bath with Phil Connery. George Leech, who was stunt arranger on Majesty. Secret Service. Of course, we've got Desmond, there's Llewelyn, and we also have with us today Norman Wanstall, who is only one of two people to ever win an Oscar for Bond films for Best Sound on Gold. And I'm very pleased that he's here with us today. We also... Also, I'm very pleased to welcome one of our events for the first time, the very first James Bond girl, Eunice Gayson. And someone that's a regular face at all of our events. He supported us right from the very first time that we ever held a very small convention, small affair. And he's been on the Bond films since Dr. No. He's the production designer for From Russia with Love. Also, obviously, on Her Majesty's Secret Service and Live and Let Die. And he's also doing work at present on GoldenEye, and that's Sid Kane. Right, I feel awful to have to try and rush people through, but there's only so many I can get through at a certain time.
We'll move around now, just so we'll go around the back.
Very difficult to get on. They'll only sell blue up there. Trying to get a black in the station. I can believe it. Thank you.